Hey guys, I'm back, and today I kind of have a different type of experience that I'm trying to share with you today. I have different energies with me, um, and many different crystals to kind of help with this story. Um, we're kind of diving deep into my past experiences and how what I was thinking about them then and how I've thought about them now has helped to change my life and help make me a happier person. So without further ado, we're gonna start with when I was born. So when I was born to a mother who had many different issues that she had to work through herself. So that started my life off with a challenging birth family. And I've kind of told this story. Um, My birth mom, she needed to feel accepted by many people. A lot of us feel that way on multiple occasions. And I'm no different. I have felt that way on many different occasions myself. So anyway, fast forwarding, I was put into foster care at the age of 2. And I was put into a challenging foster family where it just feuded my fear of not letting people in, or in other words, of people not being near me. And it just continued this thought, and it's who I thought I was a majority of my life, that no one wants to be around me. That's what my previous thought was. Um, is that I'm not worth anyone's time. I would never be worth it to anyone, and as soon as I let someone get to know me, they're gonna take off. So I can't let anyone get to know me because otherwise they're not gonna be a part of my life. And that all started with when I was first put into foster care, and is known as this disorder called reactive attachment disorder. But in all honesty, it's just the fear of abandonment and fear that people aren't gonna be there for you, which it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You tell yourself that subconsciously all the time. That's what you see in the world. And so that is one of the biggest things I had to work through when I chose to come on this earth and sign the agreement, so that I could experience that hardship and take all of that and transform it into light, by moving forward. Um, so I'm gonna delve deep. I told you guys about the family I lived with before I got adopted, so I'm going to go on to when I was 5. When I was 5, I was finally put in the foster home where I would be adopted in which I had talked to you guys about this. But one of the main reasons why I was put in this family and taken out of the other one was because I was on a pharmaceutical drug called risperidone, or risperidone, depending on what the prescribe or what company owns how you're taking it. Um, and because of that, I had turned into an aggressive person, someone that was more focused on getting what I wanted now versus being able to wait for it and know that it's meant to come when it's meant to come. I had gotten adopted at age 6, just right before I turned 7, though. And, I, throughout the ages 5 through 10, I had my imagination. I was using my gifts almost on a daily basis, and I felt happy even though I didn't have many friends. I was known as the weird kid. Um, a lot of people used the derogatory term of gay to describe me when I was in elementary school because they didn't know who I was, and I was okay with being who I was. Of course, that eventually I understood that society had limits on things, and being myself, my most authentic self, was not acceptable in that time. So I told myself I'm not worthy of anyone's love, and anyone I get close to is just gonna up and leave because I'm not my self fulfilling prophecy. People abandon me because they get to know me and they don't like me. Um, so I didn't have too many friends in elementary school. However, I did dance with my mom, and my mom made friends with the moms at my dances or my dance classes, and that's how we made friends, and that's how we kind of had a social life when I was in elementary school. At the age of 10, I decided to quit dancing and join football. Um, and at around that age, also, I was put back on risperidone. And this is when I noticed a kind of big shift in my life where I got more aggressive, obviously. But I also noticed that I was more focused on school and what, not the higher aspects of thinking. I was more focused on the 3D realm, and I need to learn this so that I can be smart and so I can go somewhere in life. And if I don't do this and if I don't get good grades, I'm not going to do anything good with my life. That is where I had put myself, and that is kind of where um, the pharmaceutical drugs had kind of toned me down to not live at my highest frequency and kind of, make sure that I was being controlled. That's exactly what it was. I was put on something to numb my frequency, in a sense. That is what I would say. What I started doing more often was I joined football and I got majorly into sports. So throughout middle school, um, well, fifth grade, I went from football to wrestling. I think I did a little bit of gymnastics here and there, and I started rugby the following year. But also the following year in middle school, in all honesty, I binged a lot of food, and just would eat and eat and eat. I was always losing the weight that I put on, so for me it wasn't too much of an issue except for the fact that I was eating more than what I needed. And it was not healthy for me because it didn't help my energy vibrate to a high frequency like it's supposed to. I would watch TV, um, known as the television or the television. Um, I've learned by watching videos on YouTube that the television is a form of control also, which the television, it tells lies to your vision about the world so that you perceive the world in this 3D reality. And by doing that, I also dampened my life. Um, a big result of the pharmaceutical drugs that are being given to us that we technically don't need to have, um, because there are many different tools within ourselves that can help us. But as a result of taking these drugs, um, from ages 10 to 14, I made more friends. Um, I always felt like the odd one out, though. Probably because I was just assuming people were always going to leave me no matter what, and they didn't really care if I was happy or not. They didn't really care to have me in their life. That is how I perceived everyone. They kind of just wanted me around, but didn't want to get to know me, and that's what people did. Um, I worked majorly on my social skills so that I could get people to like me, but I never understood that just by liking myself, I could have people like me. I started breaking rules with my mother um, many, many, many times. I would go behind her back so that I could hang out with people that she told me not to. Um, but a lot of me doing that was to help me experience life um, in the most positive way, and kind of figure out who I am and who I'm meant to be. Um, a lot of things I did, I look back on it, I can see how they were wrong in that time of how I was living, but I also see the bigger picture now, as if that all did not happen, I couldn't use it to my advantage to share this story with you guys and kind of let you guys know that you find your purpose with how you've lived your life. Um, so 14 to 15, I stayed in sports through high school. So keep in mind, middle school, I had done cross country, wrestling, football. I did rugby for all 3 years up until in freshman year. I did it. No, I did not do it freshman year. I did gymnastics instead. And then I tried to do rugby again sophomore year, where I was also sent to rehab to be put on more medicine. At this time, I was put on Strattera, Risperidone, and they added another one called Lamictal. Um, and all of those were kind of lowering my vibration as an energetic being. I focused a lot on getting my good grades, keeping good grades. I still ate a lot of food, and if I wasn't eating a lot of food, I wasn't eating anything. I didn't have a good balance between eating enough food and not eating too much. I either ate too much or I didn't eat at all, and that's kind of how I kept it balanced out. I continued watching TV, and I started getting into YouTube, and there was a lot of other things that I had done that just weren't serving my highest good, but at the time that's what I needed to do to feel happier. From 16 through 18, I all throughout high school I kept my grades up for the most part. If I got a bad grade here or there, I let it go past, but I always made sure that I had good grades for the most part. Like for the most part. In junior year of high school, I smoked for the first time in the last semester. That led me down a darker path, which also leads to my senior year and kind of where I went through the biggest struggle parts of my life. In senior year, I finally said I had enough. I'm not gonna block my higher frequency. My subconscious mind was saying that, but my conscious mind, I was more just like, I don't feel happier with these meds. I feel upset every single time I take them, and I don't feel like I'm moving anywhere. I always feel like I'm trapped in this situation. Well, by saying that to myself in my senior year of high school, I went through ups and downs, and it started towards the end of junior year. where I wanted to switch my major in TCD, which is the Technology Center of DuPage, from early childhood education, where I felt like what I had learned in there, it wasn't going to be going for my divine higher purpose of my path. And I chose to maybe switch to cosmetology, which I was also making the decision so that I could be with friends in classes. And my mom, at the time, she was doing this to help me build my responsibilities. But she told me I would have to pay for the classes myself because it was much more than any of my siblings that had gone to school there, and she wasn't going to pay for it. So I stole money from my brother, which I have since paid for and also got a court case for it and closed that. I still have the two open court cases were both from December-ish. One was an underage possession of alcohol, and another one being theft from my school because I was stealing food for lunches because I didn't have food. Well, I had food at home, but I chose not to make food to go to school with. As a part of my senior year, I did anything to fit in, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, whatever's kind of offered. I was never really offered hard stuff in high school, so that hasn't really been a factor for my life. The hardest thing I think I had done in high school was Suboxone, which is an opioid to help heroin addicts get off of heroin. And I just didn't have a good experience with that, and it kind of just led me down. That was towards the end of summer before senior year. Senior year comes around, I'm in limbo. I'm not moving forward. I'm not progressing backwards. I'm kind of just there. I was doing what I wanted to when I wanted to. I had the fear of people leaving me, but because of that fear, I was doing anything to submerge that feeling because the pharmaceutical drugs had been doing it forever. Now I was going to alcohol. I was going to marijuana to dampen those feelings to not so I didn't have to deal with it. And I had that fear of being abandoned by people, but with that fear, whether they knew it or not, I was pushing people away. I was saying I'm not worthy to have you because in the end, you're just gonna abandon me anyway, subconsciously, and that is what made a lot of relationships, my senior year kind of tear apart. Of course, a lot of them did come back together, but some of them probably didn't have to end, and they probably did end at the right time because that's what I needed to do. But I stayed on that path of, getting in arguments with my friends to end of senior year, which you guys have heard this story many times. I was sent to rehab, and this is when I first started getting into my spirituality and understanding that I have many different aspects of life. There had been signs throughout my whole entire life that I would be interested, but I didn't pay any efforts towards. So I was sent to rehab at the turning point of my first awakening. I was able to kind of grow a little bit more spiritually there, and I felt happier and lighter. So around November, I chose to move into a place with a man I had just met. A few days prior, I felt like I needed to escape, and by escaping, feeling the need to escape, I kind of set myself up for failure because I was still kind of trapped. Just this time, I was trapped in a wider world of not knowing if I was ever going to have a stable living way and living in fear. Once November came around in 2018, my spirituality took a step back from where I had been progressing while I was in the rehab house. I was not prepared to protect myself. I was not setting up the limits I needed to. I was not making boundaries with myself. I was not filling up my energy on a continuous basis every day. This is stuff I needed to do because I'm an empath. I can feel other people's emotions the way that they feel them. And because I was not distinguishing their energies versus mine, I went back to drinking, smoking, anything I could do to cover up the pain of what I was feeling. In a sense, I regressed to the 3D dimensional when I was probably living on the 4th and 5th dimensional and finally coming into being myself fully and 100% without anyone else's judgment. And this lasted until about February the next year. In January, I had moved into a place where I could get a sense of stability before I made a decision to kind of give me more stability on my path before I'm able to be fully stable on my own. So in February, I moved into a place where my next awakenings would take place. And this was in spring 2019 now. When I talk about in January, I had started getting in touch with my spirituality again. I was reaching out to my higher powers. I was talking to the angels, asking them for help and guidance to where I need to go. I was drawing in the things I felt like I needed to draw in to kind of progress me on the right path again. So I had met a really nice person and we hung out a few times, and within a few months, again, I moved into his mother's home in February. I was paying $300 a month per rent. I'm still paying that amount. But by living in that stable home, I was able to kind of focus on myself, do a lot of soul deeping and searching for myself, a lot of spiritual things. I just noticed that I was doing things for myself to understand who I was. I would eat healthier and I started exercising. I started meditating and watching spiritual videos and practicing what their suggestions were. A lot of it was using I am, knowing that I am a powerful, higher dimensional creature living a temporary human life, but that is good enough because without me doing that, with me knowing that now, I am allowed to choose whatever path I choose. I choose to be a YouTuber, and I would love to be able to show more on this page. But there's the power of I am. There's the law of attraction. You know, you can ask for something. Once you put it out there into the universe will bring it back to you. It's all just elevating your different consciousness, the things I have chosen to do as a result of who I have chosen to be, which is just, in all honesty, a higher dimension of myself. I'm choosing to finally show who I am underneath all the layers that society has put on me. you know, we have put a lot of layers on ourselves because society has told us that is what we are supposed to do. We're told that we're supposed to be opposites of everyone, that we're in competition with each other. When in all reality, we're a collective people. We are collectively here together to go through this shift. And we all know that. I'm happy I'm one of the people that have woken up to kind of let you guys know my experience as I'm moving forward in my life. Um, Now, looking forward from this point forward, I'm able to see my future and how everything will play out and how everything is going to fit in correctly. I know I still have a lot of challenges I need to overcome, but by using my story and what I am holding true to myself every day, by using that, I now choose to be able to allow people into my life, and I'm able to impact whoever watches this video. I know a lot of things can be said about this video, but in all honesty, once I made the choice to be myself, that's when I started feeling abundant. That's how I know that I am whatever I want to be. And in all honesty, this works, guys. I thought it was a bunch of phooey, but looking at a bunch of research and everything, you can see the results. And whether you can believe in the actual miracles that happen as a result of following this path or not, that is your guys' choice. But as always, you guys know I love you. I post these videos for you so that you guys can all, kind of collectively grow with us. And it's just a way for us to grow as a collective whole. And, we'll move forward. Anyways, that's my video for the week of how, even with all the hardships in my life that I've had to overcome, now because of those hardships, I'm able to wear them as a shield and show them through who my authentic self is. But if you guys like this video, if you guys liked what I had to share, please hit the subscribe button if you're new, and that's all I got. Peace.